Hi, I'm Jim Raffle. Welcome to this episode of the Jim and Shelby Show, all things print podcast.
And I'm Shelby Sapusek. How are you today, Jim?
I am fantastic. It's a little chilly here in Wisconsin, but whatever. I guess I won't complain about that because someone else said it's hot where they are and their air conditioning is not working.
Seems to be.
It can always be worse.
So if I melt into a puddle over here and you're talking to yourself, just so you know.
Um, so we actually just, full disclosure, we just changed topics 30 seconds before we clicked record. And so today we want to talk to you guys about asking hard questions and specifically asking hard questions about your business. Because what we think happens is people, for example, people call us up and they want some help with color profiles. At least that's what they think they want, right? And so for me, an example hard question would be, all right, so what you're asking me to do is put a Band-Aid on your existing systems and just get you running better in the moment and really just color. We're not going to address anything else in your color workflow. And instead, I think the right question is to ask them is, wouldn't you really rather spend time and correct your entire color management workflow from either file creation or file receipt from your clients all the way through finished print? Because there's pieces of color management in the entire workflow. And I think without asking that question, we're potentially doing a disservice to our clients. Now, not everyone's going to say yes, because if they do say yes, it involves, instead of a couple days and one of us coming in, it might involve 4 or 5 days and both of us coming in. But I think the way you follow up a question like that, if they express some interest, I think the next question is, assuming we come in and we do this week's worth of work for you and everything goes well, it's a month later or 6 months later. What does your color workflow look like? What's your perception of it 6 months from now? And I think if we start framing our sales cycle like that, we'll be more successful. But I also think that if you're watching this and you're not approaching it that way, I think you could also be more successful. And so, it's a very loose, open-ended topic, and we didn't have a lot of time to think about it. Where are you at with this, Shelby, after just hearing a little bit about it?
Well, I think we've done some of this over the course of the years because it got frustrating. You'd have people call you up or email you and say, hey, I need help with this machine. It's not doing XYZ, or it is doing XYZ, and we want to get it fixed. And we didn't necessarily go in there asking a lot of questions of them. And we had to learn hard lessons. Some of it was small things like, hey, what rip are you using and is the software up to date? Do you have a spectrophotometer on site that's in good working order? What's your high level expectation for when we complete the work and leave? What is it where do you want us to be leaving you? What is your goal? And sometimes earlier I think when we first started up Color Casters and doing this consulting gig, we were like, yeah, let's take the job and we'll get there and figure it out. Well, there's so many variables and so many levels of what people need. Some people, please just come in and fix it. I don't care how you do it. I don't want to know. Just fix it and thank you. And here's your money and go. Other people were like, hey, come in and fix it. Show one of our guys or two of our guys how you did that, so that when you leave, we can try to maintain it. So then there's a level of education that they're expecting too. And so I think we have been starting to ask some of those hard questions about their expectations.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this is something we completely did not do. For example, I've said, I have said during sales cycles, if all you need is someone to come out and build you 2 or 3 profiles for your printer, we're not your people. Let me refer you to someone. I mean, we've never wanted to be I need 3 profiles. Can you please come build them? And I'm not saying that's not sometimes what we do, but I think that that's a very, very small part of what we do. And if we are doing that, we're doing something else. If nothing else, we're showing them some basic color management settings in their design side applications. We're explaining the color management settings, as you said, even if that person's not shadowing us the whole time we're there. It's like, hey, come over here. I just want to show you a change I made to your color management settings. And I want to print something for you with, the new profile and your old settings and the new profile on the settings I'm recommending. And you tell me which one you like better. And they always like the one with the changed settings. It's just the way it
Right.
works. And so, it's not, I don't think we haven't been asking hard questions. I don't think we've been asking high enough level hard questions. I'm almost positive of it actually. And so it makes me wonder if some of our listeners are having, the same struggles. It's like, are you willing to potentially complicate the sales process in order to ask a hard question that might in fact lead to a longer, more meaningful, deeper business relationship with the client than just come in and fix a couple problems and move on?
Well, there's a reason to be asking those questions, because I would rather have a really good knowledge beforehand of what is expected of us going in, rather than go in and be hit with, oh, we didn't know that this is a problem, and I'm not sure we're the people to fix it, or, I'm not sure how to fix it. I like going in with some confidence that, hey, we've worked on a similar situation like this before and we were successful. So I feel like we can help you. I like knowing those things ahead of time.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be blindsided by a problem that or with a machine we've never worked on before or something like that. I
Right.
mean, I want to be honest with them up front, saying, hey, we've never worked on this situation before. We have some ideas on how to approach it, but, just so you know, I mean, I'd rather be honest with them, and, because, what ends up happening is you don't build those good relationships, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm just trying to think of a hard question to ask you.
I was gonna say, you look like you're in deep thought. What are you doing? Hmm.
So it's a year from now.
Oh gosh. Hypotheticals. I love it.
It's a year from now.
Hmm.
And where do you see color casters being?
I don't know if I see it too much different than it is today, honestly. I know in some ways you are looking ahead to retirement, but I still think that's a few years off yet. I don't see next year being a
Six and a
year when
half.
you're like, okay,
If
but I
anyone's
don't see
counting.
next, but that's fine. But I don't see next year being the year that you're like, hey, guess what? I'm out.
No, no, it's not. Absolutely not. No.
So I don't see, our specific roles in changing that much. I hope that I am doing more consulting and more G7 work. Um, I'm getting ready, actually. I might have to wait. I'm not sure what the deadlines are, but I want to get my G7 plus certification. I'm already G7 expert, and I'm kind of grandfathered in to take that.
Mhm.
Um, that certification, and I want to get that done. I'm honestly not sure if I can get that done before the trade shows in September. I think that's going to have to wait until afterwards, as long as the deadline allows. Um, but I hope that I'm doing more consulting. When I did my first G7, you were kind of in the background and I was kind of in the foreground. I think I might see that a little bit more in the coming year, where you're going to be, guess what? This is, your job, and I'm here to back you up, but, what would you do?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that makes sense.
so I see a lot of that. Is that what you're asking about, our specific
Yeah.
business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a hard question, right? It makes you think into the future, which means now you've got to backtrack from the vision you just shared to, what does it take to get from here to there, right?
Almost every time that even in private, when we're talking about our company's future a year from now, 5 years from now, there's always a component of education in there for me.
Oh
There's
yeah.
always like, there's something I need to go do and get done. And if you're asking me right now, it's to get my G7 plus.
For me too. I spent a significant part of this week learning about a new software tool. I did some online training and I've done some playing around with it. Jake and I did some behind the scenes work with it. And
Mhm.
it's we're basically gonna probably change our profiling platform that we utilize when we aren't utilizing the ones built into RIPs and such.
Mhm. Right.
So, there's other tools out there. It's a little too soon to talk about it. It's probably more of a webinar topic, quite frankly, and it might come up in our next webinar, which is going to be a pretty cool thing as well. Um, yeah, and so ask me a hard question. Go ahead.
Uh,
Work related.
what actually does retirement look like for you? Do you really, I mean, I know you say 6.5 years, but just knowing you, I mean, I know you love the travel and you love doing the work. And so even 6.5 years from now, I guess I have a hard time seeing you be like, that's it. I'm just cruising for the rest of my years. I'm not going to touch this ever again. I just don't see that from you. I mean,
No,
do you
not at all.
see yourself doing
Nope.
speaking here and there? Or
Yep.
are you going to go out on jobs here and there? I mean, what do you feel like you're going to be doing?
So I'm going to spill the beans on something. I
Cool.
think
On
I
a
think we've already
podcast?
I think we've already alluded to it. Shelby and I have been working on a very small little itsy side project.
Oh, okay.
We've been writing a lot of words,
Yeah.
uh, and we've been stringing those words together in sentences and the sentences into paragraphs. Shelby more than me when you get into the grammatical part of it and the spelling part, but uh, and
Anyway,
and ultimately chapters, and chapters will someday become a book. And I think we've kind of hinted at it a little bit on this podcast, but it's getting close. I mean, compared to where we were 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, when we conceived of this book, I feel like we can actually talk about it. I think we're going to deliver it. It could be another year before it's available. I think it might be quicker than that, but and that book is not more about, is about our business, but not the business of color. It's about the business of creating this business and running this business as business partners. And
yeah, we don't really talk about what our business is
it just no,
in
not
our
we talk
writing.
around it, but yeah, no.
I'm sure we mentioned it, but the book is not about color management
Yeah.
and being a color management company.
So I've come to view, as the more we work on that project, I've come to view that project more and more as the gradual and slow um, flow into something different than what I'm doing now. What I'm doing now is really energy intensive. So it takes like the 4 or 5 week period that I went through right before this week. Um, it was exhausting in a lot of different ways. More than just physical, mental. And so I'm looking forward to, you asked what retirement looks like. That was the original question. It looks like I'm still working, but it doesn't look like I'm working the way I work now. I was having this discussion with someone yesterday, and to me, when I hit 67, I want to, and I don't want this to happen like on the day. I want to be working towards a point that when I'm 67, that's the 6.5 years, um, I work on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I don't work on Fridays and Mondays, right? And and I would like the vast majority of my work to be helping clients with their business, and color might be part of that, but I don't want to be stuck in the shop building profiles and doing the actual physical work, because I just don't know how long, I don't know if that's sustainable. And I'm pretty sure it's not sustainable. But I do want to be able to continue to share, a lifetime of experience both in the printing industry and as a kind of serial entrepreneur. And so that's what retirement looks like, is still working, and still taking a substantial number of cruises. I don't know if honestly, I don't know if it'd be any more than we're taking right now. What we're taking right now is a lot. It would depend where we live and if we can drive to and from the cruise ports. Um, you know, we uh we have other things we want to do. And yeah, I mean it doesn't look like I stop working anytime soon. I just work less and differently. And that's, again, that's not next year. You're right. If I look at my next year, it looks pretty similar to this year, except if anything, we might both be putting in a few more hours to launch the book if we get to that point. So, yeah.
So what is a hard question you could see a small business owner asking a potential client? Like a vague, hard question.
A vague, hard question. Well, I think I've already asked it. So the vague version of it would be, assuming you're talking about hiring us for, or the product you're, considering buying from us, assuming you go ahead with that and it's as successful as it could be, how does that look for your business a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? And I think that's an important question because like you said, first of all, it really starts to create the project to achieve success in their mind. And then from our perspective, if we're the ones asking the question, as you said, it sets the expectations, right? And there's nothing like having those expectations clear up front. Because you're right, we've walked into situations, and that is a lesson we've learned. And I think we're pretty good at that piece of it. We don't always get there by asking a hard question, but I think we're pretty good at understanding our clients' expectations before we walk in the door. I think we try to put our expectations in our quotes because I think that's a great spot to catch that the expectations weren't right. The client we've had people call back and go, wait, aren't you going to do this and this? And it's like, you're right, we did talk about that. Let me put it in writing. Because sometimes you forget things that are said in calls because you talk about a lot of things and what we focus on is not necessarily what they focus on. So I think any hard question you ask should be about refining expectations for both sides of the conversation or even creating expectations. In the case of the client, I'm going to go non-generic again. The person who calls us and says, I heard you guys can make a profile for my brand X printer and my brand Y rip. You're like, yeah, I can. Why do you need that? And then as they start to explain the why, it's like, oh, well, you're having trouble hitting brand colors. Has anyone talked to you about spot color management? I don't even know what that is. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You want to work on that while we're, and it's like, so, and you're right. So I guess I already asked hard questions, but I'm thinking more of the high level business questions. And that's just because, I'm thinking a lot about the book right now. And I think that as that gets done, we may have people who ask us, how did you do this in your business? And that may become a part of our business is helping people figure that out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I hope it is, but I don't know.
Okay.
It's gonna be cool to be able to say we wrote a book, though.
We still have a while to go. We just added another chapter.
Maybe. Who knows? I mean, some of the chapters we've written may not make it in the book. Who knows? So I mean, that's been quite a process. Talk about something where we've both been at. Okay, so wow, full circle, and then we'll wrap this. But think about the number of hard questions we've asked each other, probably and ourselves, as we've written this book.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, this whole process of creating this book is one great big hard question. It's like, how did we create this? And we've had to because it happened organically in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But when you think, and then when you actually go back and write it about, it's like, oh, we actually did that with some intention, and you don't remember it that way because it's 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But there's things that we actually did with intention that, the saying yes, which I think we did an episode on that. We did that with intention in year one of the business. And now it's just something, I mean, I think I got so angry and mad last year. One week, I remember I said, I'm not saying yes anymore. Right. I mean, and that was just me being angry and mad because I was too busy. Not a bad thing. Right. But it was like that had become so ingrained in me that it was part of the business that how I reacted was to say, I'm not doing that anymore. And yet, as I go back and, look at that chapter, it was that was the result of asking a hard question. How do we grow this business? We say yes. We're finding ways to say yes, not ways to say no. So no is easy. Yes is not always easy. It sometimes is. Right now if someone called and said, "Hey, I need you here next week," my answer would be yes.
Right.
Or, sometimes that happens. I have an open week.
Mhm.
But there's times when people would call and we'd be booked solid, and somehow or another we'd say, "Well, can we squeeze in a day here and a day here?" And they'd be like, if that's all you got, and we'd
Yeah.
somehow make that work,
Find
and
ways to say yes. Yep.
yeah, I mean, that was, but just coming up with that was, back in the day when we started the company, that was a hard question. How do we grow the business? Well, we say, yeah. The answer to that question was we say yes. But the
Mhm.
hard question was, how do we grow the business?
Right.
So I think we've asked ourselves a lot more hard questions than we realize.
Ourselves,
Yes.
maybe not of our clients and business partners, but ourselves for sure.
All right. So I think this is a great episode. If you've gotten this far,
Mm.
we don't normally ask for this, but I think on this episode, it might be kind of fun if anyone wants to do it. If you're on the YouTube page in particular, it's an easy place to do it. Drop down in the comments and give us some examples of hard questions. Ask us some hard questions. We will get notifications if you drop questions down there, and we will engage with you.
Mhm.
And as long as you're down there, smash the like button. I've always wanted to say that as a YouTuber.
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button. Or is that the thumbs up? I don't know.
I don't even know.
I want to be a YouTuber. I'm kidding. Okay.
Great. I think you should do TikTok.
We are sort of, yeah, we are. So,
Mhm.
all right. We will see you next episode. I don't know when next episode is, but
Yeah. Well,
we got
yep.
some fun ones. There's some fun stuff coming up. I'm gonna keep this generic because I don't know where this episode's gonna end up, but we got some good stuff coming up, and we are looking forward to future episodes, and we will see you then.
All right.